Greetings to Jay and his panel and everybody. There was a discussion, some kind of discussion just now about Yakub in the Bible and within the Europeans. They call him Jacob, and he is the father of 12, but 13, Sister Dinah. And he was called Yakub, but the Bible people, Europeans, them call him, where they get this J from and how they twist these things, they call him Jacob. And also they tell a story about how him wrestle with God. Never. You see? But I will come back to that later, you know. And then from his wrestling, they saying him wrestling with God. And somehow he was meant to be victorious. Now when you take this thing out now, you know say it's not even an allegory. But there's an explanation. This is a symbolic is a symbolic allegory that the hierarchies is portraying but not projecting, because God told Moses him can't see him. So if him tell Moses him can't see him, but yet still he's going to allow a human to wrestle with him. Now, see, the perception is that God is human. You understand? So they're having this wrestle, but it's not Russ anyway. We'll come back to that later, right? So much. So what happened is that Yakub is the father of 12 boys. And nobody want to talk about the girl, his daughter. But nevertheless, you have Joseph, Yusuf, right? So we don't talk about Yusuf. Somehow people are talking about Jacob, right? Jacob and the 12 tribe of Israel, and Jacob become the lasting something of this something, right? So them use that now to say this is how them become, or some people become Jew, or where Jew come from, right? Nothing don't go like that. It's people again playing their allegorical, symbolic, and want to claim something. Okay, so when we talk about Yusuf now, we see that Yusuf was disliked by his brothers, 10 of them, right? Benjamin wasn't born yet. So Yusuf didn't know of Benjamin, right? So Benjamin now becomes the 11th, right? Well, Yusuf is the 11th, and Benjamin, the last one, him is the 12th. So to unravel these things, you have to know that event of this family, and not Noah and all of these things, because there's a separation there. People are saying about Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and that Noah did such things, and then there was laughter and covering of his nakedness and wine and everything, right? You understand? After such a journey, and obviously was chosen by God long time, but he was given a very, very important mission again because of the flood, and he was an architect because he had the responsibility of building this ark and everything. So you see that little trauma and that deflection, just like the next one that comes up about Jacob wrestling with God. You see? So, and then Judah, now, right, one of the sons, right, have been chosen, or the name, that title has been chosen by a set of people, right, and their reasoning or their explanation, them use that, and and these people is us as African, especially African Americans, but it's us. It's not the European Askanakis and these people. It's not them, right? Okay, but then if you know that in Ethiopia, now the line of Judah, that tribe was the last remnants of Solomon and Sheba and all of that, right? So we can go there again another time, but we're dealing with Jacob, we're dealing with Joseph, we're dealing with Jacob, which is the same. So that life span of the brothers telling their fathers lies, and they become jealous and everything of their brother Joseph, and making a lot of claims that this and this has happened to him and so forth. And where is father? A lot. Beg your pardon. So the last time now, they know that them throw him in a well. But them gone home now with some garment, and they tell their father that he's being devoured. And it hurt his father more than all the other atrocities that them created, and yet still he came home, right? But this time there's no coming home. But the father now, him not talk to nobody. He's hurt, yeah, and he remained hurt. He was suffering, right? But there was something inside of him that says no, right? Because they weren't proving nothing to him all the time. Everything them do, they never could prove nothing. Them just say what them I say and what they wanted to say. But anyhow, in long and the short of all that, a caravan set of people went to water the camels and horse and whatever not. And when they threw down the bucket down inside the well, then realized something down there. So they made the inquiries and everything, and they hauled what was inside the well, and it was Joseph, Yusuf, alayhi salam. And then they took him to Kemet, Egypt, Kubaland, that's Africa, and them sell him, So a member of the house of Pharaoh, now he was up for sale, and a member of the house of Pharaoh make the wife and others of the house know of this, and they purchased him. Yeah. So Yusuf, alayhi salam, Joseph, was raised in Kemet. Kemet was the capital, and people were coming there for food, all kind of thing. So that myth of everything that people have been saying, that myth is not in the Bible. That myth is in the Bible as well. You understand? But if you read early, you see that what I'm saying is there. And then later, them round it off with their myth about, and really they don't give you a full account of Joseph, but them jump straight to the dreams. But did they go to the dream? No. They went to the lust, right, of the Pharaoh's wife lusting after him, right? And then them tell the allegory again and so forth in relation to that. And they moved on, right? Where we are saying, right, that it went like that, but it never go so. So what happened is now you have Joseph in and many other people in Kemet, Egypt, and you have Joseph being raised there, and he experiences that life is an experience, it's a journey. He experienced certain things. He went to jail, and he came out of jail, and he was re-employed by the Pharaoh and the Pharaoh's family. But this time now him have a big position, bigger than before. He was a servant before. But now he's a governor, and he's a head person. He's controlling things, right? He has an authority of food, agriculture, water, everything. Major health resources. The whole infrastructure is in his hand. He's administrating, and he has a team of people, right, working with him and for him. And this is Egypt. Let's not lose sight of all of that, This is Egypt. Not the one that they painted that bad, terrible picture of, but this is Egypt. And his father, his brothers were sent to Egypt again, because every so often there's a famine outside of Egypt, or there's hardship of people in what they're trying to do for themselves. But at the same time, because Egypt is the capital, is the center of markets and trading and everything. So they were back into Egypt for food, right? So obviously they had to come into contact with their brother, right? But they don't recognize him, but he now is curious of them, see? And what little memory he had and everything, right, served him well. But also because his attire is perhaps what inhibited them from looking at him, because the fact that them dash him where they don't know nothing about him. They weren't assuming that he was in Egypt. So they had no reason to be searching for him. But because he knew of the caravans where many of the caravans that came into Egypt, what districts and areas they came from, he went to observe. And in his observation, he recognized some persons which were his brothers. But he kept that to himself. And he disguised himself even more, right? Because his attire was relevant and enough. But this disguise that he's done now was not to speak and not to be upfront, so they could, maybe eyes meet and so forth. So he did that and stay afar and witness them and watch the way they carry themselves and so forth. And then he set a trap. He asked his workers to do certain things, get their food, give them all the grains and everything that they want, and then put something inside the bags and so forth. That there could be an encounter, and he can accuse them of wrongdoings. So the point I'm making now is that there's no Jacob wrestling with God, and we mustn't jump and go to Judah and forget the other brothers and not forgetting to realize, if you didn't know, Yusuf alayhi salam, which is Joseph, right? Now, the scripture people, they speak of Joseph of a coat of many colors, and that's the fascination, and that's a Jeremy rhyme, like for children and everything, and so forth, right? And then another set would speak about how attractive he was. He had to be, because why would the Pharaoh's wife approached him, and so forth. So then you get these type of thing where they're saying, he must have been very attractive, for a woman of her stature and everything, to try to seduce him, and then couldn't contain herself, and she grabbed him, and he tried to flee, and the shirt ripped and everything, and that's what allowed him, right, aided him not to be executed, really, because when he demonstrated exactly what happened to her husband and everything, then a man understood that, see that, recognized that, what, he's got to be telling the truth. But guess what? She's my wife, So there's that side, there's that explanation, that understanding that needs to be continually put forward. But it's not being put forward, even by theologians, in the public place where the members of the public should know these things and understand these things, and don't go off with some mythology, right? So this was Joseph. So now we have supermarkets, we have reservoir, we have storehouse, and all these things because of him. Because the dream that Pharaoh had from God was that pestilence and famine and all sorts of things, droughts and everything was coming, right? So Joseph was the one who interpreted or translated Pharaoh's dreams, and then Pharaoh asked him, "What should I do if?" And Joseph told Yusuf alayhi salam told him. So he said, "So since you know, can you not take charge of such things?" So now Joseph became like the general secretary, the minister, the minister of foods and hospitality, everything. You understand? So today, when we walk about, when we go to supermarket, corner shop, and we have water running through pipe and everything, reservoir and everything, Joseph. When we go to cash and carry and so forth, Joseph. When you go to shops and look for your clothing and everything, Joseph. You understand? And when we think about supermarket, we must think about farming, Joseph. When you think about milk and meat and everything, Joseph, farms. You understand? Agriculture. Okay, so this is where those brothers did surpass these things. And when you surpass those things, what you finish up talking about just now and so forth, and then looking at textual analytical display of what I am saying, then you have to really check the source and see if the source is credible. And how credible is that source? Even though it's European, doesn't mean it's not credible. But what I just said, where did I get that from? I got that from biblical, authentic biblical doctorate, and Quranic doctrine. Now, what did I do with them? I analyze what the Bible did say in its context, and I project what the Quran have said. Because the context in the Bible is in the Quran. But the fullness of that which is in the Quran is not in the Bible. The Bible cut short and then pick it up somewhere else where some people would suggest that that's what has happened. But if you have read Joseph or Jacob, Jacob, you would understand that that's what the reference is, even though it doesn't call their names. But these theologians, they have this way of telling you that this is Jacob, right? Just like they would say somewhere down the road where Moses is talking it's supposed to be God saying something to Moses, and then they say that that is Jesus. And you think like, but Jesus ain't born yet. And they said, no, no, no. That's Jesus, our Lord and Savior. And, you just have to say, okay, right? Because now you haven't got the tools to reject what they're saying or to project something else. But they hook, line, and sink that is Jesus that God is speaking about. It's not Moses anymore. It's now become Jesus. And sometimes Abraham, salam, right, his mission, right, and so forth, it becomes Jesus. And by the time them do that now, them gone straight into Paul and hook, line, and sink you right there. Right? I don't work like that. And the Quran doesn't work like that. The Bible doesn't work like that really, but the people them find these verses and make them hook, line, and sink to say that that's what it is. And we as human beings, we like mysticism. So the person who's expanding these things and they're calm and collected, and they have written the answer. So they've got a script, not from the Bible, a script of their own, and they take their time presenting it. It is easily accepted because the person is a good tutor and is a good orator. You understand? And they make it fit. Because now they said that the Lord thy God I've said. Now, who's going to dispute God with God? That's the hook. Because no one is going to turn around and say, nah, you're lying, man, abruptly. And no one is going to turn around and says, no, can I read that for myself? Generally, people in the church don't turn around and says, Pastor, can you give us the verse and the chapter of everything so we can see it for ourselves? No, the pastors them choose certain areas that they would want you to follow them with or will want you to go home and read. The rest they don't tell you. And that's too crafty. So just now what was happening was some of the brothers were responding to pastors or lectures from perhaps people that were pastors or from people that have researched the scriptures in that fashion. And then the sister and the other brother, they came with what I'm talking. Do you understand? So if you don't notice, don't read the Quran in that way to understand about Yaqub alayhi salam, Yusuf alayhi salam, and his brothers, and what wrong they did. I mean, and then what Yusuf did to bring his families together, to bring his family back together, and so forth. Then you'll be outside because it's a beautiful reenactment. I wanted to say story, but an allegory, and it's something that I wouldn't say factual, but it's something that actually happens within our lifetime as human beings. Families, people having differences, and right then there's some reconciliation. People reconcile things, right? So not because of the position that he had, but for how he was a gift to his family, his mother and father, he retained that, his innocence and his kindness, huh? Unlike his brothers. And we're not talking about 9 of them and all of a sudden this Judah. No, nothing like that. They were wrong. They were bad. All of them, except Benjamin. Do you understand? So that's a different conversation. That's not Islamic, because nothing like that is in the Quran. But the fact that he lived, the family lived, they reunited, and they continued, that's in the Quran. The beauty of the family reconciling, the father did not die of a heart attack because he didn't get to see his son, and he had to come to terms that he died, and the leopards or whatever it is ate him and devoured him. No, he actually saw his son, and his son hugged all of his brothers and his mother and his daughter and his sister. So that is the story. That is the history that needs to be looked at, studied, and appreciated. Right? So this spawn of Judah is Menelik of Ethiopia. But it doesn't go with what was discussed just now. It is just that Menelik, the crowning of the king there was of the line of Judah. Right? Explain your saying. Because that tribe, right, was one of the dominant tribes in Ethiopia. In Ethiopia. Huh? Now, there are those who would turn around and throw spawns at that because it's African. But guess what? Islam is African. Huh? Why? There was no Suez Canal. What is called the Middle East is something that Britain and France and them constructed. There was no Middle East. All of the area is Africa. The first Hijrah was to Abyssinia. We walked from Mecca into Abyssinia. And some walked from Medina into Abyssinia, which is Ethiopia. So stop it. Don't take some history that's been given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and leave others parts of that history. The history of the Prophet and Islam is far, far different from these other things. Huh? There's a history of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Al-Quran, that journey, completely divorced from other things. So if a person does not understand that, please understand it now. All those other histories did happen. The Iraqis, the Persians, let's put it that way, the Persians, and so forth. All the things that they did, the period of Jahiliyyah and so forth. Yes. But the Prophet's history is the advent of Al-Quran. Nothing more, nothing less. That is Islamic. Everything else that was happening has nothing to do with the revelation. Has nothing to do with revelation. It has to do with people's lifestyles, right? What is important is the period of the revelation and that 23 years of the Prophet's living and presenting Al-Quran to this earth. That's important. Everything else is a distraction and a distortion and a deflection. Because you not find the Prophet ﷺ involved in those things. And you not find the Quran being used to justify or to remove these things. No. Right there in Mecca and Medina is where the Quran shaped itself, presents itself, executed itself in relation to the behavior and the mannerisms of those tribes within that precinct, which is our father Ishmael alayhi salam. Which is our father Ishmael alayhi salam. So if a person is into the black thing, know he that was it. But there's a greater journey than a black thing. The greatest journey is to be human. The greatest journey is to be that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. The greatest journey is that fashioning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created our father and our mother within in the first instant. The greatest journey is understanding that ruh that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala breathed into us as human beings. He didn't breathe into us color. No. You understand? That's the greatest journey. That's why a lot of people speaks about spirituality, this, because they've lost for hope. But there's one thing that everyone can relate to, something that's deep within, and it's part of our conscience and everything else, and we can't put our fingers on it. It's with us. It's just that some try to tell us that they can tell you how to be spiritual and so forth and so forth. One day we'll go there too. Because there is spirituality in Al-Islam. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. The 99 attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings every human being to a level, not just of maturity, but of understanding. So may God forgive me anything that I put out of place and said wrong, and may He accept my intention. Now listen, now we're going to the black thing now.
But there's the larger part of the game that must be paid attention to as well. And recognize that basketball, football, soccer, and other things are primal male games, and ultimately are games of war, and involve themselves about the defense of territory. The line that runs down the center of the basketball court is a borderline. It separates two antagonistic forces. And the major problem there is to defend your territory against incursions from the other side. And to what? Invade and take from the other what one must take in order to win and to survive. And it's interesting to see a whole psychology operating there. The psychology of teamwork, the psychology of organization, the psychology of morale, the psychology of hierarchy with captains and guards and other people operating there to defend territory and to defeat the enemy. And yet to see black men play that game and miss all the points. To see black men walk on that court and call themselves by one name, Bulls and Bullets and Knicks and Celtics, to take one name and operate under that name, identify with that name, be proud of that name, organize around that name, and on top of that, to dress just alike in uniforms. Yes, to organize themselves and sit down and plot strategy and tactics, to study the nature of the enemy and seek to defeat that enemy. Isn't it amazing that black men can go on these courts and on these football fields, playing these primordial games of men and games that reflect the realities of life, and cannot play them in real life? And can only play them under the courtship and the management of white men. Create billions of dollars of wealth playing for pennies. $5 million a year is no money when you're creating 2 and 3 billion or more. Going into a ring, knocking another man's brains out for $20 million is no money when the match itself generates over $200 million to $300 million. And you got a bunch of jokers out there living vicariously through this battle. And so you got a bunch of men who will take one name, bulls and so forth, and wear one uniform. And when they come off the court, you say, then, why don't we call ourselves African? I'm an individual. You see, all of a sudden we're individuals. We're not connected. We are interbred with all kinds of races and groups. And yet, this is how you make your money. This is how the thing works out. So there's a larger psychology there. So we get young black males who will attack other ethnic group males with their kids just for walking down the street. They'll attack each other. I was talking to a lady the other day, a mother the other day, about her son who is literally locked within his own neighborhood because if he crosses the street that way, the gang that belongs to that project will attack him. And if he goes the other way, that one will attack him. Territoriality. Territoriality. Turf, as they say. Isn't it interesting then that men and young black boys can have this sense of territoriality? But when they become grown men, Arabs can walk into the neighborhood and take their money and take their women. Koreans walk into the neighborhood, take their women, take their money, impoverish their children. All other ethnic groups just walk in and freely take and win and rule over them. What happens to the sense of territoriality? But yet you go into these courts and you play into the midnight protecting territory. Someone must have psyched your mind out. You're not approaching these games correctly. The game you're playing is the game played on you. Let's understand that. Therefore, you must study the dynamics of power. Confront it for real because it's the only thing that's going to keep you alive. There's no guarantee that you will be alive except that you fight to stay alive.
Yes, it's very true. We have to look at our condition. All this argument, abusing one another about the Democrats and everything, and missing out that we're not pulling together. We're not looking at the monk of economics that we're actually benefiting from. We're not looking at that, and we're not looking at where it's going, and how simple it is to get it. And yet still, we're asking the same people that don't want us to flourish for assistance. It's a joke. And yet still we're one of, if not the biggest earners across the earth in true plain amusement. but yet still we don't structuralize ourselves because we are muses ourselves. Now listen to this piece here, and I will come back and finish it, but just there's at least two sentences that would clear the fact that what is called Arabia today and what is called Middle East is Africa, was Africa, is Africa, but due to the Suez Canal and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, listen.
Have you ever asked yourself?
And know some geography. Oh my God. There's a thing. And stop Google. Geography. Books. Research. Universities.
Have you ever asked yourself what the Middle East really is? Is it a continent, a region, or just a term introduced by the West for massive propaganda? Well, the Middle East is not a continent and technically is a part of the African continent. Countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Yemen, Oman, Egypt, and Libya are known as the Middle East. Yet, if you see the map, you will see they appear to be a part of Africa.
Okay, so wake up and learn. And stop letting people confuse your mind with Arab propaganda or propaganda that use Arab, and then you're saying that somehow Arabs have done you wrong and you don't know who an Arab is and you don't want to have nothing to do with any Arab and blah, 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 right? And so forth. So get down to some reality. Come here, some songs, a reality. Come.
The battle getting hotter and hotter. Man, you got to know yourself. The battle getting hotter and hotter. Man, you got to know yourself.
That's what the world needs today.
Your vibes
That's it. Simple things. Know yourself and know yourself right now. Know ourselves and know ourselves right now. Know ourselves that we're African. That's it. Simple. We're not Indians. Yeah? They call us West Indians. But the Tainos were there. The Coolies were there. The Arawaks were there. Different sets of people crossed the area we call the Caribbean. Huh? You understand? But our souls yearn to be reconnected after all these years, centuries, with the motherland, Alcuba land, Africa. That's it. You understand? Come.
Losing my heart to you, bit by bit, blowing my mind for you, bit by bit. I act like a brand new heart, I act like a fresh new star, bit by bit. I'm losing my way, bit by bit. I'm losing my way, saying goodbye to you, bit by bit. No, I won't cry for you, not one little bit. Just no good for me. Any idol I can see, bit by bit. I'm losing my way, bit by bit. I'm losing my way. Girl, I try to make you happy, but you didn't appreciate that. You're hurting yourself, girl. I think you're hurting somebody else, and that's wrong.
See, we have enough respect for our sisters. We have enough respect for our queens. You understand? Over and over the decades. You know what I mean? And that's something that just popped up the other day, and all of a sudden we're trying to be good people. Nah. A long time thing that, you know, so we stop. You see? It's just that these teenagers now, hear me now? these young ones come on the scene and them follow America and do a whole heap of thing. And we don't feel good about what they've brought to the table, you know. You see, so we want to know Dennis, but no, we're not got Dennis. Come here.
This one's special to hard backlighter and hypocrite. Come from Simon Hudson Simon. Some girl call me the country mouse. See the hypocrite, see the maca all long day. Oh God, see the hypocrite, see the maca all long day. Oh God, I say me trophy, me cannot point me no all no foul, call no foul. You pick it up already, and it don't on them belly. Lord, oh, galang say galang, oh no Some little voodoo is in the stock cream. Lord, oh yeah, but iniquity work, Lord, you not go see judge your face. Oh God, hey, iniquity work, hey, you not go among Zion. Lord, Lord, oh hey, see the hypocrite, see the maga all long day. Lord, Lord, oh, me show off in me can, but
Yes, we are coming with you again. See, hypocrites, you know, whole heap of hypocritical people everywhere about the place. Yes, man, them real, you know. Them walk out the place, them walk out the street. You understand? Yeah, man. Hypocrites are human beings like ourselves. Just pray to God that we're not such, or we don't display such mannerism or attitudes. Come here.
Jumping for joy, Dada is coming. I'm jumping for joy, the King is coming. I can hear the angels singing hollow sweet love song. I can see the disciples dancing, they're having themselves a ball. I'm jumping for joy, right down inside my heart. I don't know why my brothers can't see his true is coming. Oh, I got to have a ball. Oh yeah. Love song, and I can see the disciples having the self-above, dancing with the root sisters, they're rocking with the root sisters. Oh, I'm jumping for joy. Oh, Almighty, please don't leave me. Oh, great Almighty, please take my brothers and sisters along with you. We can't stand the pressure no more. So I want to.
Do not discount Ethiopia. See, you need to know about the Nagus and the Nagas and Menelik. See, very important. The carnation, the crowning of Selassie the first. That's a history. That's a research that is a given. Stop let these people point you to King James and Martin Luther and all these things, Quakers, ray. No, that's the biggest lie ever told, and them just make us follow them in the gospel, and that which would have helped free us up has hindered us because we follow them. We follow them. You understand? Ethiopian history would have made so much people also embrace and understand Jerusalem and understand Al-Islam. But what are you doing? Still.
Bad boys, them a bust up guns. Police and soldier a bust up gun. The bad boy them never fire big gun. No one to say don't do it. No one to say what you say. No one to stop them from doing. No one to tell them don't do it. Police and soldier a weep and a wail. Rude wide up on street again. But sometimes that boy get money. Police and soldier a fire gun too. What you say? What you say? Soldier, the mother than day, mother than day. Be careful, my brothers, be careful. Don't bother make Babylon come hold you and lock you in a jailhouse.
Yes, man. Very important. Don't let it happen. Come again. See, when it comes to reggae music, it deep in us. So some people them run and hide. Come again.
In my only region, it's my only scene of joy. 'Cause this whole wide world surrounded by sea and water. If a fish never open his mouth, he would not get caught. So
See? And that's like a man also, If you don't open your mouth, all people are going to say that you say. You understand? So we need to be able to qualify what we're saying at all times.
Whoa, yeah. Hear me now.
Listen and listen carefully. We're not skylark out here. Come here.
Whoa, yeah. Hear me now. Let it bust. Let's get together and all unite. So just say so.
See, very important people. We know who we are dealing with. You know. Come again. It's not dancehall we are dealing with. A reggae music, proper things. Come.
Loving, why won't you call on me and I will be there, and I will be there. Whenever you need a good night kisses, why won't you call on me and I will be there.
You see, many years ago, you know, you see people doing all kind of something and so on, yeah? What people are not saying is that Aisha was given to the Prophet because the people them was warring and everything, you know, and it was a situation where to calm a situation, to stop the warring and everything. You understand? A tribe offer one of the, if it was a boy, they would have give, if it was a woman, they would have give a boy to the family or suggest that, you know what I mean? So there's a bonding and it quells the hostility and everything. The Prophet didn't go out there and seek a woman. These people keep talking all these things, and then, because today we know, true to the Western people and behavior, about this word pedophile and everything. You cannot put the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in those categories. You cannot even have that type of thinking in relation to the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never. You understand? And what was permissible in time gone by and so forth and so forth, we weren't there, we don't know. But what we do know is this: it's not applicable to the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You understand? Seriously. Shouldn't be entertained. Should not be entertained. Because what we're going to say, we know. What we're supposed to, what we do know from what was recorded is that she was awarded to the Prophet. The Prophet wasn't out there lusting after females. Yeah? The Prophet had an offer from Abu Sufyan, the president, the prime minister, the leader of Mecca and Medina, to denounce al-Islam and can have all the wealth in one, all the women in one, everything. And the Prophet said, if you put the moon, the sun in my right and the moon in my left, I will not denounce what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me to bring to the earth. So when a person is telling these stories and trying to create some kind of tarnish on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you don't know the evolution and what 23 years represent, you will always get involved with these stupid people arguments or contextual nonsense. Because just as Kul Hu Allahu Ahad was being recited by the Prophet, the leaders are offering him everything just to denounce. All the women in want. right down to Babylon. So know that and learn that, and then say to yourselves, why wasn't he like Solomon and have X amount of thousands or hundreds of wives, whatever they say, and then so many concubines? Come on, please. Please. Stop it. Now listen, rhythm. This is roots. You got to get your faculties right and stop letting people stray you somewhere, because it's an untruth. You hear what I'm saying? Really and truly. Man called Clarence Sparks, man. Vital singer, man. Come here, star. Kusha Clarence Sparks, you hear them words there? Come here, man. Cha. guidance. Yeah.